Hey everybody, welcome to training, and I just want to walk you guys through on how to create a 1-minute video using iMovie and Keynote with a progress bar. So to start off, we want to open iMovie first of all, and we want to import the media. Now if it comes up with a project, you want to start project and create a movie. So we want to get into the footage that I've actually got, the one that I'm going to be using, which is this one, and this is one of the ones that I shot a little while ago. So we want to just import that. Now I got to do a little bit of trimming on this, which is fine. So what we are going to do is just have a quick look at this video. So by pushing the space bar, we can
When I was younger, I
move the keyframe line, which is this thing that's you can see moving across your screen. So
when I was younger, I went snowboarding.
cool. So right at the start of this, there's a little lull before I actually start talking. So I'll just gather my thoughts here. So what we're going to do is we're going to break that. So Command B actually breaks that up, and then you just delete that. Right, and then at the back end of the video, let's see.
What am I going to do? That's why I tried something different.
So that's kind of where I stopped talking there. So we can chop the video right there, or we can continue on. Actually did a little bit of a pan out. So the video is actually less than 1 minute, so we could just leave that in there. So now that we've got our video, what we want to do is if we get into Keynote here, we'll open up Keynote and we want to start a new document as far as slides go. So it doesn't really matter what you pick as far as black or white background. You could always change it later, and I'll show you that while we're in here. So we want to just choose, let's just choose a black one here, and we don't want anything on there. So I'm just highlighting it and then deleting everything. But what you do want to start with is up here in the top right hand corner, document. We want to take the slide size and change the slide size. Now, what I've been using for Facebook videos, and Instagram will be a little bit different. Instagram likes to be square videos, but Facebook videos, what I've been doing is 1920, which is your widescreen. Like if you look at the 16:9 measurements, 19:20 is 16. And then 1350, right? So we want to hit OK, and it does actually change the slide size. Like you can't really tell in there. So from here, we want to add a box. Okay, so we want to bring this up. So you can stretch it out, and you can see these points that you're getting. We want to be 1080 by 1350 wide. Okay. 1080 by 1350, right? So another way, and then you can move the box in, and now you're centered, right? Another way you can actually do it is if you go into your format and then into a range. As long as this square is highlighted, you can see that it's highlighted. You can change the size over here, 1080 by 1350, and I'll show you that here. Let's just change that to a square, 1080, and we'll change it to a square, right? So if you do 1350, because that's a good one for Facebook, it's 1350, right? So everything's squared up. So what we want to do in style, I actually want to change this this color. Let's see, I was wearing a green jacket in this, and we've got a lot of background color in there. We can always move that color and make it a little bit brighter, and we can do that a little bit later. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this background color. Why don't we go with the green? So what we want to do, instead of just picking a text box, because you're pretty limited as far as the text box, it's only one line, right? So what I suggest is you take another shape, a square, and this will now become your text box. Okay, so we'll move that up here. What we're going to do is we're going to have no fill in there at all. Okay, so inside there we can have a text, snowboarding injury. Okay, snowboarding injury changed my life. Oh, maybe make sure that we spell it correctly here. And why don't we do how a snowboarding injury changed my life. Okay, so now this we want to actually, so you want to make your template is what we're making. You want to make your template your own. I've always used this one. Oh, see what happens there? This box isn't big enough to hold everything. Okay, so we want to just move it. How a snowboarding injury changed my life. So you can make this box as big or as small as you want to make it. Make the wording as big as you want to make it, right? And why don't we change the color of this? Okay, so right now it's white, which is fine. We can make it really pop and turn it red. Okay, so now the box that you've got, once it's highlighted here, what we're actually going to do, and if you go into style here, you can pick a border. Okay, and like I said, I've always used the same thing, keep everything consistent and congruent, right? So we're building a border here. And I think I had it in around the 9 points, so we make this a little bit smaller. So there we go. So now it's centered, right? So how a snowboarding injury changed my life. So that actually really looks really good. So what I'm going to do here also is I'm going to put a shadow on it. Now you may or may not be able to see that, but as I play with these a little bit, you'll be able to see a little bit more, a little better. See how that moves everything, right? So I did an inward shadow. Everything's moving a little bit slower because I am recording my screen. And I've always gone with a 7 point, and it's a black shadow. It actually looks pretty good, makes it kind of stand out, right? So now that we've got a good start on a template, what we want to do is we can save this, and we'll just do, we always want to make sure that we name it properly, right? So it's a Keynote template, right? So we want to save that to Keynote, okay? So we'll just save that. But in order to use this template in iMovie, what we need to do is we need to export it as an image, okay? So there's only one slide here, so from 1 to 1. But we want to make sure that we're at the highest quality, right? So we're slide 1 to 1, and we can go to next. Okay, so we want to, I'm going to export this as 1 minute Keynote image. That way I can keep everything straight. So we want to export that. So if we go back into iMovie, if we can upload media, snowboarding, there it is. Okay, so this is the JPEG, right? Its own folder, and there it is, right? So we want to import that. We want to actually bring it back, bring it down to the timeline, right? So you can scroll over this and it'll show you what's going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this down, and we're going to put it beside the video for now, okay? And this video, what we're going to do is we're going to put it up top. And you see how there's if I move this, you can see that little blue line that's connecting the two images together, the video and the image. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend this all the way to the end of the video. And you can see how the video jumps back and forth. That's because I've got a very wide view on where these videos are. Now if you, the plus and minus button up by the delete on your keyboard, if you do Command plus, it'll move your video right in so you can clip it. You trim it right down, right? Also this little scroll also does the same thing as Command plus and minus. It's just a faster way of doing it, I find. We've got these all in the same spot. Okay, so now you notice as you go through, all we've got is the picture, right? So what we want to do is we want to highlight this, right? So you see how it turned yellow. You've got all these buttons up top here. So what we want to do is we want to fit that, and we want to use that as a picture-in-picture. And you see how that works out? And you can move it and you can size it however you want. Now you see how you can't see any of these letters? I did actually forget a step. So you want to make sure that the new image that you bring down, you see how, let's see if we can. You see how the template in the back moves, the image in the back moves? That's called a Ken Burns effect. We want to just take that out. We want to fit it. So then when you go back to this video and put it in a picture-in-picture, see how it works out that way? So we want to make this video a little bigger. Now the reason why we went with a 19 by 20 is that's the size of the video in iMovie, right? So what we want to do is we want to bring that in. We want to set that center. We could even be a little bit lower. And if it wasn't so finicky, yeah, well, we can leave it there. We're actually going to move it over just so I don't cut off my elbow. Because the size of this green slide here is actually going to be the size that you're going to crop everything down to. So anything that's hanging off of this green slide that you see is going to get cropped. Now we need to add the text in here. Okay, so you go into titles. And what I've been using here is called a lower third. Keeps the text down here. So I'm going to make this the full length of the video. Okay. And just one text box. If you scroll on this video, you can see the thing fade out there. That's with this button here. You can fade it in long or short. I like just turn them right off. So everything will start and stop at the same time, which is cool. So now add all the text. Okay, so as you can tell, right in here it says name and description. You can't change the size of the text, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. If you double click on that, it'll give you access to take that. So name, let's just put my name in there. Okay, so this right here, you can't actually change the name of the size of that. You can change the bold, you can take the outline off, you can put italics on it, and you can even change the color back to just white. Get rid of that. Okay. So what I've actually done is only ever use this bottom one. So as far as adding text, you're going to have to transcribe your own videos or use rev.com. It is very tedious to do it yourself, but it is good practice to actually do it. So the way I've actually done it is I've got my cell phone sitting up beside me, and I use this program down here called Notes. So I'll listen to and watch the video on my phone and transcribe it. Now, I've done this a few times, so I have a pretty good understanding of what will actually fit in here. So what I like doing is we put this video all the way down here. We're going to slide this one right over here. So it's just on the edge. You can see it there. Now, when you overlap it and highlight the iMovie, you can still read everything. So the way I've always worked it is I'll push play start and stop when the sentences are there.
When I was younger.
Perfect. So right there, that's where we stop, the first one. Okay. So just to give yourself a little bit more room, you make sure that you click on and make sure you highlight that, and you just break that into. Okay. So to continue on,
I went snowboarding.
I went snowboarding. So again, make sure you highlight this and continue on.
Every weekend.
And then you highlight it again, and it's Command B to break it up. So now they're all in sections, right? You can see how I'm doing this. It really is pretty tedious. You just keep doing that for the rest of the video. So I'm going to keep working on this. I'm going to fast forward this video. I just wanted to cover one quick thing. Anything that you want to undo that you just did, just make sure you Command Z and it'll back you out of it. And if you Command Z again, it'll back you out of the last one, right? It'll just keep going back, undone, until everything's undone. Bring it all back down so you can see it. It's all on one screen, right? I'm just doing the Command negative, or Command minus sign, Command positive sign, okay? So from here, when you want to do this, as far as inputting, see, when I was younger, that's the first one, right? So the next one here, so I want to highlight that, Command copy that, and we're in there. Okay, so you can see how it's already highlighted there. We don't want to use that one. So to get down there by just using your keyboard rather than always having to do a mouse click, you hit Tab, it'll move it down and highlight it. Now you've already gone over here, you've already copied this one, so all you need to do is Command V, as in Victor, for a paste. Command V, okay? I went snowboarding, okay? And what I'm going to do is bold it. And again, remember this is black. The lettering will be white, so it'll match pretty well everything in here, okay? So again, I'm just going to do this, Command C, and go into the next one. See? And then I'll hit Tab to go down and it highlights it. Command V every weekend and, right, same thing. I'm going to keep going through this and fast forward through this one. So I said I was going to do my own take on it, and it's just going to be thanks for watching. So I don't need to do that for the whole entirety of that slide, so I'm just going to make it quite a bit smaller. So let's say 2.5 seconds. All right. So I'm just going to click on here and just going to
That's why I tried something different.
Perfect. I'm going to go back through the whole video and make sure everything lines up, okay? Perfect. I said earlier in the video that we can change a little bit on this video. So if you just click and highlight this video portion, so it's only on this video, what we can actually do is we can change the color, the brightness, the exposure on it, right? We can brighten up the colors, you know, make them really, really bright. Brighten that right up. Make it really, really pop against that green background. We'll reduce the background noise a little bit and see what that sounds like. So we went from 60 to, let's say, 72%. It's really hard to get.
Or until you actually don't have one. But if I can't provide for myself, how am I supposed to provide for my family?
See, actually that background, see if we drop the background noise here.
But if I can't provide for myself, how am I supposed to provide for my family?
Right? So we'll just move that right back up. Let's say 80%.
I was laid up in the hospital. I made the realization that my body...
Cool. So that's a really good feature. Now that that's done, what we're going to do is we're going to export this as a file. Okay. So we want the best pro. Perfect. Yeah. Compress. We want better quality. So we're going to go next. Okay. Yeah, we want to replace that. Okay. So it'll start going right now. Once this is finished, we're going to go into Keynote and then pick up the video and then crop it. So we want to open Keynote. We want a new document, and again, it doesn't matter. You can always change it. And now, when you're going to be moving your movie over, what you want to do for slide size is a custom size. Now we want to do 1080 by 1350. Okay, so that's the slide size. That's a final slide size that you want to do. Okay, so now you come into your files. Now that your iMovie is in the drafts folder, okay, I'm just going to drag and drop that right here. Okay, so now your movie is in here. Okay, so now, like I said, if you do any type of slide, right? So this was the original slide here. Okay, this was the original slide that we made, and now we've got this movie on. Okay, so now we can actually see what's going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this a little bigger. Now you can zoom out using your 2 fingers. You can zoom out. So what we're doing here, see how it's white top and bottom there still? Okay, perfect. So that green fits right on that white slide, and that's the slide side. So everything outside here is going to be cut off. Now that you've got this in Keynote, this is basically to trim your video. What I want to do is I want to add a text box. Because we use a handle, and we started doing this in all of our videos and all of our movies, keep everything congruent, change the ultra thin italic. Okay, so now that we got that, now can we see that? Maybe not. So why don't we make those letters black? Still can't see it. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go into Style, and this box here, we're going to fill this. We're going to fill this with, let's do a darker green. No, let's not do it. Let's do one of those greens, okay? So now that's the way it's going to show up on our video, okay? So now what we want to do is we want to export this as a movie, okay? So we want to go to the next slide down. We're going to take that to 0, tab down to that one, go to 0. We want the highest resolution possible, 1080p. Okay. So again, we got to name this one because this is a crop video. We're going to do a draft in the Keynote folder. Okay, so now we're creating the movie, and it shouldn't take actually that long. You save that to the Keynote. 1 minute draft. Okay, perfect. I'm going to teach you how to put a progress bar in here using iMovie and Keynote. And as you can see, where we left it, this was in Keynote. I actually went back and brightened up the photo and then changed this bottom graphic just a little bit. But from here, we need to put it back into iMovie. So we actually need to export this. Okay, export this as a movie. So we can change both of these to 0. Okay, and we want as highest quality as we can, so 1080 works really well for that. So now we're going to be doing next. So we're going to be, it's coming from Keynote to draft snowboard injury, 1 minute draft. Let's do Keynote, sure. And we're going to leave it in the Keynote folder. So now we know where to find it when we go back into iMovie. That's also important. So there's a little bit of preemptive work that you got to do in order to get this. So since we have a red lettering here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a red progress bar. So we're actually going to take a screenshot of a red image. So what I did was just look on Google, and I typed in red image 1080 by 1080, so it was a large enough. So because all the rest of them, they end up really small unless you specifically ask for a 1080 by 1080. I just enlarged it. So what we need to do is actually take a screenshot of this so we can actually use that image, that picture, in our iMovie. Now, do Shift Command 4. It'll give you a specific screenshot. You can see the cursor changed. So if you click on it and drag, you can make it any size that you want, and that's the screenshot. And what these numbers indicate is you multiply by 2, and that gives you the size that we're looking for. So we want 540 by 20. But if you double both those numbers, it's 1080 by 40. So we're going to take a screenshot of that. So now it's down in the bottom right hand corner. Alrighty, so what we're going to do is we're going to import media. So that movie that you just exported out of Keynote, again, now that everything's cropped, it should be in there. See, there it is. See, now it's all cropped. Everything looks good. There's a shadow. Looks awesome. Okay, so we want to import that. Okay, so now we're going to put that movie down here. So now, as you can see how this is going to work out, right? So everything was starting to overlay, and we're going to do the same thing with the progress bar. Okay, so now we want to input that image, that screenshot, what we took of the red progress bar. See, there you go. Pick one of them. It doesn't matter. So what we want to do is we want to move that into the image. Okay, we want to make that the full length of the video. Okay, we want to make it the full length of the video. Nothing longer, nothing shorter. They look like they're both the same. Now, if you want to zoom in on that portion of it, make sure everything's lined up. That's perfect. Just like I said earlier, the plus and minus key up by the delete, and then command plus, command minus. You can tell right here you're changing the size. Okay, so we want to highlight that, and then we're going to go into here. So we actually, not Ken Burns, we want to fit that. Okay, so now we also want to go in here and we want to turn it to a picture in picture. Now you see how big that is? Not very big, okay? And that's okay. You can stretch this out. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to lay this in there. We're just going to stretch this out. Okay, so it's about approximately the same size. Okay, so we want to make sure there's no fade in. These little dots here, when you bring it up, you can either bring this back and forth, or you can take this and you can fade in the color. Okay, so we want to take the fades right out of there. What we want to do is we can either end the video with this progress bar here, or end the video with it off. So it starts full and then counts down. So to start that, we want to go all the way to the end. So this is where you want to start this thing. Okay, so we want to make sure that this button here, this is a keyframe. So this is where you want to start it. So your keyframe trigger is here, okay, right at the start of the clip, and this is where you want to start it. Okay, so then you hit this keyframe here, just like that. Then you move this all the way to the end, all the way to the end, yeah, and then take this all the way to the end there. Just, oops. All the way to the end, just like that. Okay, so now you can see how that moves now. Okay, you can see how all that moves. So now what we want to do is we want to check it. Perfect. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. So let's just give this a go here. Okay. All right, so that's moving just the way we want it to move. Okay. So now that that video is done, the progress bar is moving. You can see obviously it's off the screen, and this is where those extra steps come in, right? Putting the progress bar on, and then we have to export this again into a file. Okay, 1080p, best pro, so we're going to end up with 934 megs. We want to make sure that it's the better quality, and we want to go to next, and it will start. Oh. Oops. Snowboarding draft progress bar. Alright, so it's in drafts, going to progress bar. Yeah, so what we want to do, these are 1 minute. Perfect. So we want to save it there, okay? So it'll go, and then this, we got to wait until this is full. Perfect. So now it's exported. Okay, so now it's all done. Now I go back into Keynote. So this is kind of where we started this video, but what we want to do is we want to file, open, we want to start a whole new one. Okay, and again, it doesn't matter which one you've got. Okay, get rid of that. So now, to pick your slide size, because our final is going to be 1080 by, yeah, you guessed it, 1350. You got her. Okay, so now that's your slide size. Okay, so now if we go into your Finder, in a 1 minute videos, into drafts, snowboarding 1 minute, progress bar draft. You gotta make sure that you name this correctly, otherwise it'll be really, really difficult to find, especially when you get more and more in there. Perfect. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to make that fairly large. You can make that a little bit smaller. We want to line that up right up on there. You see how the crosshairs on there? See, and you can see it here, but you know what? Once we export it again, so we're just going to pause it. Once we export it again, that will no longer be there, and all you will have is just this red progress bar. Now, if you want to make this progress bar bigger or smaller or anything, just remember to cut it, right? So we had a 1080 by 40. If you want this bar a little bit thinner, like super thin, maybe do 540 by 10. So you end up with a 1080 by 20, right? It'd be half the size of that, right? So from here, we want to export into a movie again. We want to change both of these. Because they're not slides, we're not running it as a slideshow. We're going to get rid of all those. We're just going to run it as a movie, so we don't need any of that. 1080p, and then next. So it'll ask you what you want to save it to as well. Snowboarding vid, whoops, vid 1 minute. Progress bar final. This is what we'll post. So everything that has final in the back of it, it's absolutely final, and that's where it's going to end up. See, I got a few videos in there already, so we want to export that. Now we're creating a movie, and we will be ready to post on the social media. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out and get a hold of me. You can either hit me up, you can either find me on Facebook or comment on the video here as well, and I will be happy to answer any questions or guide you through if you get stuck someplace. We want to make sure that we don't lose any of our work, so there's no boarding vid 1 minute. Keynote with the progress bar. There. Alright, so we want to save this in Keynote as well because it's a Keynote draft. Okay. So if you ever need to change something, you have to go back. If you want to change anything on like this green background or any of these wording up there, basically you have to start back from where you put those in and then work forward again, putting the next video on, redoing all the subtitles. But if you're going to keep the same video and same subtitles, you just want to, make this bigger or make it smaller. Reach out if you've got any questions on that, and we'll catch you on the next vid. Thanks, guys.